Hello, everyone, and welcome to Real Talk with Brian Poduska. I am Lyndon Wilson. I'm the creator of The Difference. The Difference is a media platform where we produce and air radio, live stream, and podcast. Today's show is Real Talk with Brian Poduska. I'm going to bring Brian in now. Hello, Brian. How you doing?
Hi, Lyndon. I'm doing great. How are you today?
I'm all right. How's my audio? I had a little problem with the other show. Is it okay today?
You're good now. You were skipping out a little bit up front, but it's smoothed
Man,
out.
I got it. All right. All right. Well, good deal. So Brian, tell everybody that's not seen your show before a little bit about who you are and about real property management. And then we're going to introduce our guest today, which will be Holly Haggard. Holly is a loan officer with Geneva Financial, and she also has a show on The Difference. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And we're excited about a brand new guest, as I said before, probably the furthest from that's ever been on from up in Michigan, Anthony Mosley. And we're going to introduce him in a minute. But right now, tell everybody a little bit about you and real property management.
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Brian Poduska. I own a company called Real Property Management Focus. Our tagline is we focus on your real estate investments. Our key clients are those that are intentional investors who have multiple properties are ideal, but we will help those that have fallen into property through, inheritance or whatnot, who are just needing help with finding the highest and best use for their property. So if that's renting out their property, we can help them with that. And so we offer full service property management services, which include tenant finding or tenant placement, tenant screening. So we do full criminal and financial background checks for everybody who we place. We do rent collection. We do maintenance coordination. We do evictions if necessary. I'm also a licensed realtor, so if you're an investor, I can help you find and purchase and sell if you want an exit strategy out of your investment. So that's us kind of in a nutshell. I'll kick it back over to you, Lyndon.
All right. Let's bring in our first guest, Miss Holly Haggard. How you doing, Holly?
Hey, guys.
She's a trooper today. She's a trooper.
I'm getting there every day.
Hang in there.
Running yet?
What's that?
Are you running yet?
I'm walking.
All right.
So hey, I'm
baby
a bionic
steps.
woman now. I now have a titanium hip, and
Wow.
so yeah.
Well, so Holly, introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about you, and then mention your show a little bit. You've got a show that you do on The Difference as well that we're really excited about. We're just kind of getting it kicked off.
Yeah.
It's a I'm not going to say a unique topic, but we're going in some different directions with The Difference because we are focused on things that make the difference in our lives, our communities, our businesses, our careers, whatever it may be. And yours is more community focused, which I love. So talk a little bit about you, Geneva, and that, and then we're going to bring in Anthony.
Okay. Well, so yes, I've been a mortgage originator for 19 years this month. I work for Geneva Financial, and it's a great company. I've really been very pleased with them. I'm the founder of FabFit 101, which is I'm a Zaya Active independent rep, so I sell activewear as well, which it's become a passion of mine. And I'm also the co-founder of RVs for MDs, which many of you have already heard of. And that was very rewarding. I have a husband of 9 years who is my best friend, and thank God for him during this time after hip replacement and other surgeries and everything. He's been my rock. A son who's 8 years old and a daughter who is 7. And so I have a show here with The Difference called the Good Human Series, and it's focusing on how we can all be better humans, how we can help each other to find the goodness in ourselves, and instead of looking at the negative in somebody else, maybe finding that goodness in ourselves and trying to reach that in other people as well. and I'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later, but just talking about perspective and how, instead of I can't, doing I can, and finding ways to do that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Great show. I want you guys to check that out as well. So now we're going to bring in Anthony Mosley, who I was introduced to by a good friend of mine, Wayne Salmons, and Wayne is with the Hero Nation. He's a coach. He told me, I asked him about being on the show today. Sorry, Anthony, you were the second choice. I've known Anthony probably all of 15 minutes now, but I already like what I see and what I hear. Anthony, you are a regional manager for Van Dyke Mortgage, and you're also a coach for the Hero Nation. I want to welcome you and thank you for filling in today. We, as happens sometimes, we have to scramble, and when we have some cancellations or whatever, but I'm excited to have this because I know what we're going to talk about today is near and dear to me. It's why I created the difference in the beginning, was to talk about things that we all either are experiencing or we're looking for solutions to, and that's personal and professional development. We all want to get better, and that continued growth, I think, is what keeps us all alive. Knowing that yesterday is behind us, and we can be better today than we were then. Holly, that goes to a lot of what you're talking about. Brian, I know that you and I've had these discussions before, and it's important to you as well. So, Anthony, I want to give you a minute or so to introduce yourself to everybody and tell a little bit about who you are, what you do, how you got there, and then we are going to start peppering you with questions. I hope you're ready.
I'm ready, man. I'm ready. Thanks for having me on. So my name is Anthony Mosley. I am first and foremost a father of, I got 3 kids, 7, 11, and 14. I've been married for 20 years coming up November. So I ended up in this weird world of, I was a military brat. I got shipped out after high school, after living everywhere in the world. It seems like I got put in Michigan, and I ended up going to a college and meeting my wife and never leaving. I ended up in the world of social work, and through that somehow ended up in mortgages. The interesting thing is both of them are helping people. And then I got into coaching. So I've been with Van Dyke Mortgage for about 15 years. I've been in the world of the mortgage lending space for about 20. And so about through my travels in the mortgage world, I really wanted to get to know my clients. And my clients were that of real estate agents and the consumer. So I began doing a lot of following, reading, and participating in the coaching the real estate agents were going through. And through that world, I ran into Wayne Salmons several years ago, as he was a bold coach for Keller Williams Realty. A few years after that, I ran back into Wayne as he started the Hero Nation, and the rest is history. We're out there changing lives and helping people with not only their business life, but their personal life as well.
Awesome. Well, for people that don't know Wayne, he's kind of a low energy guy, wouldn't you say, Anthony?
When you get off any call with Wayne, you're ready to go take on the world, man. I mean, it's that's the greatest thing about him is he's so much inspiration pouring out of him.
Yeah, and I'm excited. I'm excited that I met him. He's actually going to be helping me with a show called Ask the Experts. We're going to have several different people on it at different times, talking about what they do and helping their area of the world and how they're making a difference. So let's get into this now. I want to talk a little bit today, or a lot probably, but I wanted you to come on, Anthony, because I love talking about the things that make the difference in our professional lives, personal lives, business, career, community. And one of the things when I started the difference, I wanted to identify commonalities, right? I just feel that there's a reason why some people reach the top of whatever it is they're doing, and why others may not make it to the top, even though they're busting their butts to get there. And I wanted to find out what is the common denominator or denominators that those people at the top share that us in the middle somewhere that we're working hard to get there. I mean, we're as deserving as anybody else. We just may not know the secret recipe, right? So having you on today, and I know Brian will have some questions. I know Holly will have some questions for you, but I want to just start with what is it that through your experience of coaching and being around people that are exceptional at what they do, let's talk a little bit about what you would say. Let's just say, give me 3 of the top commonalities that you think transform a person from being acceptable in what they're doing into exceptional.
The exceptional people surround themselves with exceptional people. They look for the people out there that have done it and lean on them to what I learned from Wayne. This term was like time collapse. I've been in the industry for 20 years, and now we're seeing youngins come in our industry, and they're able to team up with someone like Holly or myself that has been through it all and learned what we learned in 20 years, they can learn in weeks, right? So the term we like to say is don't ask how to do something, ask who, and then surround yourselves with those people. The next thing I would say too is blocking out the noise and focusing on, 2 to 3 must do's, in regards to what you're focused on. The successful people don't get distracted by all the bells and whistles and shiny things flying around. They stay focused on what works, and they block out everything that doesn't work. And then consistency, like there's a great book out there to read right now. It's called Atomic Habits. Read the book. Doing anything, if you do it consistently, it's going to work, right? Once you figure out what it is that works, do it consistently. There's no immediate gratification. Doing something today is not going to all of a sudden work tomorrow, but it works after you do it with repetition. And creating those positive habits and maintaining them is just a massive key. And I've seen so many people change their complete business around by not changing what they're doing. Like, they knew what to do. They just weren't doing it on a regular basis or even had a plan of when they were going to do it.
That's great stuff.
Sorry.
That's great stuff. Go ahead, Holly.
100%. Sorry, go ahead, Lyndon.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I agree with you 100%. One of the things I wrote down was consistency, and that is something that I have learned, through being at Geneva. And that's one thing that our marketing team has been amazing with, is teaching us to be consistent, to continuously do, things that you see working, and then knowledge. And then I love block out the noise. I love that. I love the way you said that, because it's so true. If you continuously listen to, you can't do this, or you can't do that, this is working for me and this is working for me, but it doesn't work for you. You've got to find what works for you. Block out the noise of everybody else. That is genius. I love it.
Thank you.
It is. Let me ask that, one of just a little bit of history on me, Anthony, is I was a high school football coach for 14 years. And out of the 14 years, we went to the state championship game 7 times. We won it 3. And I was just a lowly assistant coach, but so thankful to be a part of that group. And I learned so much about consistency and about processes that are put into place so you can be consistent. And one of the things that I learned is that you can be good, but you can't be great until you get consistent. And so I 100% agree. And I think when we talk about being acceptable versus exceptional, acceptable is really good. I mean, you can be really good and do an acceptable job. You can do enough to get enough, right? But when we reach that other level, I think consistency is one of the big keys to that. Let me ask you another question. How important is mindset and doing the things that you're talking about? Where does that fit in as far as finding consistency, finding the right processes, getting around the right people, being able to handle the struggles that anybody that is in our line of work is inevitably going to face. How important is mindset? Where does that fit into your experience?
Well, that's the other thing too, is the most successful people out there are mentally strong, right? So before you start any journey, you got to know where you're going, and then you have to draw out the map to get there, right? And that's our daily activities. And what we don't focus on is, you don't focus on where you're going. You focus on the steps to get there, and that will in itself give you the rewards and wins you need to hit your goal. Now, mentally strong people, they don't allow failure to affect them. See, because the word no and getting no's is not bad. We have to fail and able to find where we're going. But the mentally strong people are able to recover quickly. They're able to pivot. We've heard that word pivot a lot since COVID.
Right.
Like, what are we going to do with our business? Like, you told me a fascinating story at the beginning of this. You made a pivot, right? So you were mentally strong enough to collect your thoughts, think out what you're going through, what the situation is, and then, okay, how do I redirect and make this happen? And look where you're at, right? So those of us in the industry have had to do the same thing. And what's cool is the Hero Nation is not just for real estate professionals. Wayne has a great story of a yoga instructor who had just rented out, leased out some space, was getting ready to go and start her new business. COVID hit. What do? They pivoted. They moved it around. They made that an online app. They made, she's doing incredible now. My son's a drummer, and his drum coach, same thing happened with him. All of a sudden, bam, COVID hit. He's not able to go in and teach one-on-one lessons. He's now doing online lessons with kids, and he's doing them with kids from all over the world. And he's doing better than he ever did. And it's to be mentally strong is to not let the things get you down. It's to be able to see past the failure, and the things that help out with that too are, your health for one. You can't be worn down and beat up and be mentally strong. And that's some things that we go through too, is how to avoid that the toxic environments in your life, how to avoid the people that are around you that will bring you down, and how to put yourself in the situation with the right people and focus on the important things. Don't dwell on the things that are not important to you. See, we spend a lot of time on social media too, right?
Right.
You see people's highlight films all the time. So we're thinking, look at Holly. She's amazing. Nothing ever bad happens to her. Why can't I be like her? But what they're not seeing all of Holly. And we do that intentionally, right? Because we don't want to be that negative influence on Facebook. And we also use social media as like our means of telling our story. We want to tell a good story to keep people dialed into our channel, right? Just like TV.
Right.
And what we have to realize is that we can't sit and guess what someone else thinks about us. We just have to focus on what we think about ourselves and stick to the script of what it is that we want to do.
So let me go to this question now. Brian, jump in here anytime. This is your show, buddy. I don't mean to hijack it.
Thanks for taking over. I do have a question that I can ask.
You go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. I'm just giving you some smoke. No, Anthony, what I wanted to do. So we've talked about the things that make the difference, right? And in your experience with coaching, what have you found to be kind of the number one killer of progress, and the number one or number two roadblocks to success that you've had to help people get past?
That's a great question.
So it comes in the form of a question, right?
Fair enough.
What are people pretending not to know?
Ask that again.
what are you pretending not to know? And the question goes like, it is, in reality, what are we pretending? We as a sweeping statement, but we spend more time trying to figure out how not to do the things we know we have to do to be successful.
Wow. That's so true.
And just own up to it and do it. Put in the work.
100% agree. 100% agree. That's what I was talking about earlier. Something I wrote down. It's all about perspective. I can't, to me, saying I can't, that means I won't try. It doesn't mean you can't do it. Because if you can't do something, then you ask for help and then you can do it.
Yes.
If you can't do something, it's because you don't want to try. And I've learned that over the past couple of months. I can't get out of the bed. For those that don't know, I just had hip replacement surgery. I can't get out of bed. I can't get up. I can't walk by myself. I can't do this. And I had this thought. I'm like, why am I saying this? Because I can't do it. Because I can't do it. Because I won't allow myself to do it. Because I don't want to do it. And then when I started saying, no, I can do this with her help, with my physical therapist, with her help, I can do this. And I was able to do it. It's all in your mind. You gotta change that mindset.
Yeah.
And change that I can't. Because you're the one if you're saying I can't do something, that's on you. You can't do something because you're not allowing yourself to do it because you don't want to try. And I know that may sound harsh sometimes. It sounded harsh to me whenever my physical therapist told me that, but you know what? She was right. And until I changed my mindset, I was up walking the same day that I had my surgery because of her, because of that, because of changing my mindset. And I mean, Anthony, I would love to take your course because this coaching, I think it's amazing because it's right along the lines. I would love to have you on my show too, because it's right along the lines of what I want people to understand. We control everything that happens in our lives. We ultimately control that.
Absolutely.
In that.
Absolutely. Well, we'll get together after this, Holly. I'll give you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, that was an interesting. Kind of in a nutshell, it's self-limiting behavior is what I gather out of your answer, and I like the way you phrase it. Can you say that again, Anthony?
Yeah.
What are you pretending not to know?
Yeah. So it's really answering the question for yourself. What are you pretending not to know?
You know what's interesting is I posed that question on Facebook one day. I call Wayne the master of questions, and that's something that I've really grown to love is asking questions. I found through him with his help, and I don't even know if he knows he's doing this, but I coach with Wayne, right? And I've picked this up too, is people know the answer if you just ask them the right questions. Like ask them questions and then go deeper and deeper. And what's fascinating, it feels, man, it's an amazing feeling when you help someone self-discover what they knew, and now it's like, let's implement, or why are we not implementing? You know what I mean? And we know it. Like I have a coaching client, and I love her. She is a doer, right? And the first thing we did is we said, all right, you're going to make 100 phone calls to your database by next week. She committed. She got like 92 done. She picked up 4 or 5 new buyers. So then it was the question of like, why aren't we doing this every week? Like, why aren't we putting that into our schedule? You know, with loan originators, for instance, it's like they spend so much time doing nothing. And I know because I was there, right? And Coach Bill Hart will tell you that you could separate your day into thirds, and that first third part of your day should be used on your proactive items, routines, right? The things that you're doing to get business. The second third should be used on reactive items. Reactive items, like for the lending world, is taking a loan application or clearing some conditions if you have to, or following up, you're giving a weekly phone call to everybody involved with your transactions. real estate agents writing up a PA or, going out and showing homes. People mistake prospecting. That is a mandatory. That is a must do, because if you're a real estate agent and you don't have a house to sell, you're not a real estate agent. If you're a loan officer and you don't have a loan to originate, you're not a loan originator. We're just another person. So even, throughout business, we have to focus on, we have to make sure that we know where those categories are and stick to them and make sure they're being touched.
So let me ask this, because you talked about, the first third is get business, and the second third is being reactive. How important, and I'm going to give you my second commonality. My first was mindset, and these are the things that I've learned basically over the last 20 years of working around the real estate industry, coaching the real estate industry, and then doing the radio show. My first one is mindset, because I think a lot of people get started in business and they're thinking about all the great things that are going to happen because of the business, and they don't think about the negative things that are going to happen and how to overcome that. So we talked about that. My second one is time management. And when I talk about time management, I have a lot of people, Anthony, that talk, well, I can't really plan my day because there's so many things that are going to happen. And you kind of hit that when you talked about the third, a third being reactive. And I tell people, okay, so you plan your grocery store trip, you plan your vacation, you plan a wedding, you plan all of these things. We plan really well how to spend our money, but we don't take much time planning how to make it. And so I want you to talk a little bit about that, about how important is planning your day tomorrow and having the discipline, that's again, and consistency to stick to the plan, which sometimes allows you to say no to some of those distractions.
We got to take that sometimes saying no and say it more. That's a big thing right there, is we say yes way too much. And the successful people out there are they limit what they say yes to, right? Yeah. So in our industry, or if you're self-employed or an entrepreneur, the sale or prospecting, if you will, is the number one bane of existence, right? Like, that's it. If you look at Gary Keller, freaking genius of a man, you know what? If you're in the real estate industry or you're building a business, you've got to read two books. You got to read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller and Dave Jenks. And then you have to read The Art of Getting Back Up by Wayne Salmons. Plug.
Yeah,
that's a great book.
He sent me that book. That's a great book.
Yeah, I got, it's on Audible now too. So what you need to realize is that Gary Keller did a triangle. So it was like the thirds, and I don't know if it had anything to do with the third of the day, but on there's three sides to a triangle, right? And he's got 3 L's. So the main one is the top 80% of your day is listings. That means prospecting for listings. Listings, leads, leverage. I'm sorry. Listings, you're spending the top 80% working for your leads, I believe, 10% on listings and 10% on leverage. Now, if I chop that up between listings and leads, I'm sorry, but the main part is you need to have the prospecting time set out, and you need to set it out early in your day so you don't get the distraction, right? Don't look at your phone unless you're making phone calls on it. Turn on Do Not Disturb or whatever, and do what you do to prospect. And one thing, if you're not doing that, you need to do is work your database. Your database can change your whole business up. Your database should be your whole business. They say for every 15 people in your database should equal 1 transaction a year. So that's a whole nother thing we could go into some other time, and I'm very passionate about is your database. But see, if you get that done, the prospecting done, so if you set a goal to say, I'm going to make 20 phone calls to my database today, I'm going to make 30. I got to coach a client that Monday through Friday does 20 a day. And what you're doing is you don't have to call and sell. And the apprehension people have to being in sales, they feel like they're selling people and being annoying. What you're doing is the art of what we do is providing a solution to people's problems.
Right.
So calling someone just saying, hey, how are you doing today? How are things been going? How is the house doing? And then when you go to get off the phone with them, just say, hey, if you know anybody that's looking for any help right now, let me know. You know? Or
Right.
if you're calling leads, how can I help you today? What is it you're looking for? Ask the questions to them. Where the sales is ruined is when you hear people call people and they're like, hey, a 30-year fixed rate today is 2.5. You should refinance. Why should they refinance? You know, why do they want to? What do they need? You know, they may have a great rate already, but what are their needs?
Or I haven't heard from you in 3 years, and now you're calling me because rates are low.
Yeah. So if you're staying in touch with your database all the time, people, you're top of mind and people are hitting you up. That second, third part of the day, though, that's your reactive part. And then that third, you know, the last of your day is that's when you need to schedule stuff for you. You know, if you have a spouse, are you scheduling time with them? Are you scheduling time with your kids? Are you scheduling time to do stuff that you like? To avoid exhaustion and depression in this world we're in, we have to have stuff that we look forward to. That has to be on your schedule. So put something on your schedule each day that is something that you look forward to. There's a dude in our group that he is a phenomenal real estate agent. He's a happy grandfather. I swear that guy is on the lake fishing at 1 o'clock every day, by 1 o'clock every day, and he's a top producing real estate agent.
Just because he's got his system down.
He's got a system and a schedule down, and he doesn't keep saying yes. Hey, Holly, how many organizations have you asked to be on? Do you want to be on the Women's Council of Real Estate? Do you want to be on the Planning Commission for this? Do you want to be part of the, I mean, you know, getting into the community and doing stuff is good and being relevant and participate. But you got to look at what you're doing and what the intention is. If that intention is not in line with what your goal is, you can't say yes to it.
So that brings me to another question, and this is something that in the 18 years that I've been doing this, I've come up with, and somebody else may be using it too, but it's something that I feel is not recognized, but I call it behavioral branding. How we act, how we behave, how they start to perceive us. And one of the biggest failures I think that we have in building a behavioral brand, showing the type of pattern of behavior of who we are, is overcommitting. And I see that so often. People want to jump on every opportunity. We're like opportunity hoarders, right? This person offers something, okay, I want that. This person offers, I want that. We want to get involved in everything. But then when we can't fulfill what is needed for us, it makes us look bad and we don't even realize we're doing it. What are your thoughts on that?
I got a guy in my life that's him. That's him. I tell you, if I every day I just want to grab him by the ears and say, dude, you're so talented. Like when you focus, you're awesome. But he legitimately is like Mr. Social Butterfly. He is part of everything, and he just never has time to do the things that are what he's here for, like what he's good at. So in turn, he makes mistakes and makes himself look bad, just like you said. And he's not bad. He's just way overstretched. And the interesting thing is not out of necessity. It's because, and he knows it. It's just like a thing for him. And sometimes you can't make people do things. You just have to let them fail. And they say that of drug addicts and alcoholics is, in order for them to get cured, is they have to hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
And so you say what you can, and you can't tie your personal well-being to their end result because you tried, and that's that's what they're doing.
I think what you can do.
Oh, did we lose Holly?
It looked like we lost Holly for a second. Brian, you had a great question earlier. I know you got another one in you now. So what do you have for Anthony here?
Yeah, I have more of a build off of some of his comments. And as a newer business owner, I've been in business for about a year and a half now. Just from an experience standpoint, those first, I don't know, call it 6 months or so, I had a hard time saying no. Just because, one, I didn't necessarily know what I should say no to, and that kind of comes with experience. But what I started doing to kind of solve that was I started looking at things through what I'll call like an ROI lens, return on investment lens. So if I'm investing my time in this group, or if I'm investing my time with this, networking happy hour, whatever, you name whatever the activity is, before I even thought about giving an answer, I would think about it from an ROI perspective. What return on investment might I get from this? What contact? And you never know what context you're going to build, but they always say you're one contact away from your next big deal. But with sales being king, especially for a new business, you really do have to allocate and advocate for those things that are driving that return on investment. So the struggle's real for a new business owner or somebody who's been around for a long time. The thing that I've learned pretty quickly is to say no to the right things. Hopefully, I mean, maybe I'm saying no the wrong thing here and there, but you learn pretty quickly that there are things that you should say no to, and you have to say no to.
Yeah,
it's a great point. Anthony, what are your thoughts on what he just said, and how do we discern between the good things and the bad things? What do we need to say no to?
I see, man, Brian, I know, especially for a guy like in what you do, right? So I see new agents and mostly loan officers do this every day, where they go to everything, they host and sponsor every event, and they're not thinking of the ROI, because most of them don't have any skin in the game, right? They have a company that's backing them, and they're spending that money. Anthony's cutting that check, or Tom Van Dyke's cutting that check, whatever. So I think the most important thing to do when you're getting in as a new person is, first of all, know your craft and be the specialist that way you are. Secondly, is be authentic and don't be anybody but who you are. You don't want to. By being who you are, you're going to attract people that accept you and like you, and that's where you're going to have that relationship. And then third, I would be uber selective about who I want to do business with, and I would keep that list, and I would I would seek out to build a relationship with them on it's a lot easier to have a conversation one-on-one than it is in a room full of people that there's distraction everywhere, right? Or how many times have you been at a happy hour for, a realtor happy hour or something, and you're talking to somebody and someone comes up and just interrupts you? I mean, it happens all the time. Get to know them, don't sell. So when you make that appointment, like, hey, Holly, let's meet up and have a cup of coffee, right? Don't go in and say, so I've been in property management, or I've been in real estate for this amount of time, and we have this really cool software, and we do this and we do that. Learn about them and let them learn about you, because no matter what it is you're selling, people do business with people they like, love, and trust. Mm-hmm. And I think in this time, especially with how busy everybody is, that experienced people don't mind dealing with the young, hungry vendors out there, the young, hungry agents, LOs. It's a breath of fresh air. But like I said, the strongest thing is that connection, that being authentic connection. And if they like you and they know you and they're willing to if this is the type of person that would go out and have a beer with you, that's the relationship that you're looking for. It's not always about the quantity; it's about the quality of it.
So let me ask this: when in talking about that, how important is it to understand and really get into your core values of who you are as a person, and who you're going to resonate with as a person. Because if I know my core values, if I know the things that are important to me, if I know where my comfort level is with working with people, and it doesn't mean everybody's got to align 100%, but if we share a lot of commonalities, whether it's personal, professional development, whatever it may be, is that going to be conducive to a good relationship that's going to be lasting and productive?
Look at it in an analogy of a marriage. Is if you believe one thing and your wife believes the other thing, and is that marriage going to work out? It can if you're open and honest about it. But if you're being fake about it, it's not. It's going to cause a disaster. I mean, I'm a head case, man. And what I mean by that is I do some off the wall.
At least you're open and honest about it.
Yeah. I'm off the wall, man. And the people that know me and do business with me know they know that I might do something really off the wall sometime. And it's not destructive. It's just that I don't like being normal. I like being me.
Right.
Right. And there's things I don't talk about, and I don't talk about them at home. I don't talk about politics. I don't talk about religion. And that's just, I mean, me. That's just me. I had no interest in it. Like, it doesn't fascinate me. None of it does, right? I mean, religion does, but I mean, it's a whole nother story. But it's just, I'd rather talk about like seeing a one-legged duck try to swim straight, or talk about, anything else. But the fact of the matter is that there's people that can't stand me, man. There's people that are like, I will not do business with that guy. And it was like this way when I was in LO because he's not wearing a suit today. Well, I'm not that guy. I'm not wearing a suit. So,
but you know what? Those are the people you don't want to do business with because it's going to be a horrible transaction anyway. So if you want to have a good transaction, if you want to have a good balance, work-life balance, you've got to work with the people that want to work with you because of who you are and your personality and what fits with you. And I found that I don't need to have 20 closings a month or 30 closings a month. I don't even have to have 10 closings a month. My closings are with people that I really enjoy working with and they enjoy working with me. And that's what I think has been my balance is people knowing who I truly am. I'm just like, I'm crazy. I could do some stupid stuff and we'll talk later about how I broke my leg. But that's the thing is working with people who really truly know you and aligning with you. And I love that you're bringing this up because I think that really truly matters. People try so hard to work with somebody that they're just not going to get along with, that doesn't fit, that does not fit within that line that they're walking, and it just becomes awful. And I think that if we just really try to stay on our path and work with people that align with us, I think it makes life so much greater.
Doesn't it makes it more fun to go to work, makes it more fun to go to bed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you know who else notices the relationship between you with lenders and realtors or property management or home inspectors? The client.
Absolutely.
They can feel that stress. They can feel that tension.
Absolutely.
And man, I've had transactions go to crap. I had a lady buy a flipping Harley during the middle of a transaction a couple months ago. The buyer and agent and the client were completely understanding. We all liked each other. The listing agent wrote a complaint about 3 pages long about how unprofessional we were. But at the same time, I don't want to work with that lady. I didn't want to work with her in the first place. But it's the whole thing of if you know each other and you like each other, you work as a team. And it makes that consumer's experience so much better. Right? And you could be open and talk about things like, man, Anthony, it seems like this is really taking a long time. You know what? Let me fill you in on what's going on. And then they're more understanding. But to pick up the phone and have Charlie Brown's teacher yelling at you, it's right. There's nothing there. And like I said, take it back to the analogy of a marriage. I know you guys have all seen it. You go somewhere and you see a husband and wife together, you could tell if that relationship's going good or not.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And it's not comfortable if it's not, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So let me ask this question of all of you. How important are, let me rephrase that. Are we too casual in trying to establish our business to business relationships, and we don't get down and ask enough questions of each other so that we can have a more formal approach to understanding each other and reaching the same goal?
I think you got to go in and ask the same questions you're asking your client. Like, you're always trying to find out what their why is. What is it they need?
Yes.
So when you're talking, to your counterpart or your affiliate, and you got to start off by finding out who they are and what do they need.
Right.
And then through conversation, you provide to them how you could solve their problems. Like, how does that work? And that's not a sale, that's knowing your unique value proposition. That's knowing how to ask the right questions and find out what it is they need, and then provide the solutions to it. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Isn't that kind of going back to finding out really what their core values are professionally as well, though? I mean, you're asking the right questions and you start to see those commonalities and you're like, oh, wow, I think we can match up well. And if you have something in common, then, like, for instance, if, of course, you and Holly are both in mortgage, but if it was different and you both are really obsessed with personal development and growth and reading the certain books on how to get better, that's a commonality that can bond you. And y'all can start sharing books. Did you read this book? I read this book. I got better doing this. And now we're almost the iron sharpens iron type thing, where we're good being together. Am I making sense with what I'm saying there?
You're making each other better, man. Like we said at the start, it's surround yourself with people that are on the same journey as you. Live life.
One thing, Lyndon, that I learned most recently, I can't remember where it was that I learned it, but when you're talking to somebody, even if you don't have, you don't know them yet, when you're talking to somebody and their pitch changes or their eyebrows raise or their eyes get bigger and you can see a change in their face, you know that excites them. You know that is something they're interested in. And that will help you to bond with them. That will help you to kind of steer that conversation into digging deeper, into getting to know them better. And I think that's huge too, because anytime somebody starts talking about mortgages or family or something like that, I'm like, my face just lights up and I get, this big grin. And so I think that if you take that in your business too, and when you're talking to somebody and you're trying to get to know somebody or their personality or what it is that they like, or what they don't like, watch their facial expression. And if you're on the phone with them, listen to their tone of voice. And that will help you develop a way to talk to them, to kind of become a chameleon, kind of become more like that person and get to know them and find out if you are on the same line and the same path and if that's the right fit for you.
Right. Well, we have a comment from Wayne. Wayne is actually watching. So I guess he's checking in on you, Anthony, and make sure you're doing a good job. Holly, to your point, let me ask this, because I know you and I want Brian's input as well. But what you're talking about, Holly, is being relational. We talk about the difference in being transactional versus relational. Is there an art or is there a skill developed that we need to learn how to be better at being relational rather than transactional? Because I think especially when we first get into business, right? And we've been coached and we've been trained on what we need to do to take an app and all the different things. We are so focused on hitting all those steps. Sometimes we're not asking the questions or being receptive to behaviors like you were talking about, Holly.
Yeah, I think that, don't focus on the end. Focus on how you can help. And if you really truly think of when you're talking to somebody and they're telling you everybody has a problem. A home buyer, a person that is looking to buy a house, they have a problem. The problem is they don't have that house. So how am I going to help them get that house? Okay,
right.
So I'm going to solve that problem. So finding a way to solve the problem for the person, just like what Anthony was talking about, we solve problems. And if you can focus on just finding a way to solve their problem instead of thinking paycheck or the end or being the top or being the best, if we can just focus on how we can help that person with whatever it is that whatever problem they need solved, I think that you will have a great transaction. I think that that's going to help build, and I think that's going to help build your referrals. My work is all 100% referrals.
Yep.
It's based on people coming back, and I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for that. I do pray a lot. So I give a lot of that to God, but it truly is just trying to focus on helping instead of focusing on that end result, and the end result for you, the end
Right.
result for the person you should focus on, but not the end result for you.
So I've got a quick story, and two things, and Holly, you and Brian have probably heard this, but my good friend and mentor Jim Thomas once called me out in one of our first training sessions, and he goes, "Why such the bad attitude?" And I said, "I hate sales." And this is when I was in the fitness industry. I just gotten started in sales. I didn't want to be a salesperson. I thought terrible things about salespeople. I just wanted to be a personal trainer, and I didn't realize you had to be a salesperson to be a personal trainer too, right? So he goes, "Why the bad attitude?" I said, "I hate sales." He said, "Well, stop selling." And I looked, I'm like, "Did I just get fired?" And he goes, "No." He goes, "The people walking through that door have an issue that they need a solution to. You provide the solution. Ask the right questions to find out what the issue is, and then offer the solution. This whole facility that you have here has an answer to those questions." And he goes, "When you do that, you'll never have to sell anything ever again." And that was a trigger that changed everything for me. Now, I have many, many times gotten away from that. I had another mentor that posed this question to me one time. Let me see if I can get it right. There's going to be a question in a transaction. What can you do for me? If you're the one that's asking that question, you've got it backwards. They need to be asking you, what can you do for me? And you need to provide an answer. If your mindset is as the salesperson, as the loan officer, as a realtor, what can you do for me? I'm asking that to the client. Then we're being transactional. We're thinking of it from how we're going to benefit, not how we can help them. So we got about 6 minutes left. Let's get Brian, what more questions? You're sitting there. I can see the wheels turning in your head. So, you've had some good questions. Give us another one. I'm looking forward to hearing what you got to ask Anthony now.
Well, this will be a good one, and I hopefully visually won't see the answer. But Anthony, you said that folks wouldn't work with you when you're a loan officer because you weren't wearing a suit. Do they have a problem working with you as a coach without wearing pants? In the Zoom world, you can't really see what's going on here.
What's funny about that is I was watching the NFL today, or Fox NFL preview on last Sunday, and thank gosh football's back, right? And Jimmy Johnson was reporting from off. Everybody's in the studio except for him. He's zoomed in or whatever. And he happened to lift his foot up or something, and you could totally see he didn't have any pants on, dude. It was like, wow.
Busted.
Yeah. So, I kind of keep the camera at the right level, man. I keep them guessing.
That's the things that make the difference in this new Zoom world we're in.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Camera angles are what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah. No, another, I've always had this thing about, I think you got to look good. You got to look clean. I don't show up wearing a rip. I can't judge you, right? It matters what you do. But I just always had this goal in life to be able to wear white tennis shoes all the time. Like, they got to be clean, man. Like, white tennis shoes.
A little throwback,
Nice.
huh?
Those
Yeah.
are clean.
Huge throwback. I like that. My 15-year-old son would be proud. He's got nice white shoes.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can wear them with nice pants and jeans. You can wear them. You can do anything.
You know, I think that we're finding more and more today that, and don't get me wrong, this is just me, but if you're comfortable, then you portray yourself in a different manner, I think. And I'm not saying go to a meeting just completely unprofessional. You know, I think you pick and choose who you're meeting and get to know who it is you're meeting. Are you meeting a VP of a bank? Okay, then you know what? It might be better to, you know, step it up a notch. If you're meeting a personal trainer, it may be okay to wear a little, you know, something that's a little more comfortable, you know, some athleisure or something like that. I think making them comfortable too. I mean, for me, if I'm comfortable in what I'm wearing right now, like well, of course have other reasons for that, but this is still comfortable to me. And so if I'm sitting in front of somebody that, you know, and I'm very successful, so it's not like I'm not a successful person, but if I'm sitting in front of somebody that's wearing a suit and a tie and it's perfect and the hair is perfect and not a, you know, strand out of place and everything like that, I'm going to be a little more like this instead of relaxed and comfortable. And so to me, I feel like if you can make the person that you're talking to feel more comfortable, if that means that, you know, you're wearing, you know, something that might be a little more athletic or maybe, you know, maybe some khakis and a, you know, polo or something like that, instead of a button down and a hard tie, then do that. Figure out who your client is, figure out who you're talking to and dress appropriately for that. I think that's what's important.
That's funny you said that, because when I first got in the mortgage business over 20 years ago, wasn't in it very long. Fortunately, I got out before the market crashed. But I asked the broker when I first started, I said, any advice? And he goes, remember, you're from Texas. Know when to wear a suit and know when to wear boots and jeans.
Yeah, there you go.
Or all at once. You can
I should have worn
the boots with the suit.
Yeah, a sports coat with boots and jeans, right? So there you go.
Pretty common.
Little both. All right. Well, we are about out of time. I think this has been a great show, Anthony. I'm so happy that we got to meet you, and Holly. Thank you for coming on and being a trooper with all you got going on. Be praying for you for quick recovery. I know that it gets frustrating, but thank you for being here, Brian. As always, man. We're keep this show rolling. It's good. I'm gonna let you. We got about a minute left. I'm gonna let you tell everybody a little bit more about you. I'm gonna run how to contact you, and I'm gonna let you close us out. Okay.
Awesome. Well, no, I reiterate your thanks, guys, for joining us today. Also, going to do a shameless plug for, you know, we've been talking about surrounding ourselves with the right folks, and I think we've got a great workshop that we're doing next week, next Tuesday. That's September 22nd. It's called Educated Buyer, Educated Seller Workshop. It is basically an overview of how you are able to tap into the equity in your existing home to build bigger and greater wealth than you would be otherwise. So that's a real quick snippet on what we're doing next Tuesday. We've got a team of folks that'll be out there. It's going to be at the Froth Coffee Bar, Froth Coffee Bar in Hazlet, Texas. So it's 1090 Schoolhouse Road in Hazlet, Texas. That's going to be from 6:30 to 9 p.m. next Tuesday, September 22nd. So with that, I'm going to close us out of here. Thanks again for listening this week. Guests, thanks again for joining. And Landon, you take care. Bye all.